and welcome to InsidePiano. Last week, I was asked by a subscriber to make a video about playing passing chords. Passing chords are related chords to the tonality that we use in order to create variety and continuity. The major mode scale has 12 related dominant chords. Each of these chords, along with their relative minors, are used as passing chords in music composition. To understand this concept, we need to learn what is the relationship of these chords to the tonality. On today's video, we're going to learn the relationship of all the 12 dominant chords of the tonality. Let's say we're on the scale of C major. We can play a dominant chord for each note of the diatonic scale. And we can play dominant chords for all of the 5 chromatic black notes as well. So basically we have the whole chromatic scale of dominant chords which we can use as passing chords. Each of these dominant chords have a specific function relative to the tonality. We have the main dominant chord, we have the dominant relative chords, and we have the dominant substitute chords. The main dominant chord and the dominant relative chords resolve to a fifth below their root. For example, the dominant chord of the key of C, which is G7, resolves to C. The dominant relatives also resolve to a fifth below. A7 resolves to D. B7 resolves to E. C7 resolves to F. D7 resolves to G. And E7 resolves to A. And then we have the dominant substitutes that resolve half step down. Let me explain what the dominant substitutes are. Each dominant chord can be replaced by its substitute, which is a tritone away from its root. Therefore, the dominant substitutes resolve half step down. Let's say G7. The tritone of G is D flat. Therefore, we can substitute G7 with D flat 7. The dominant substitutes of the C major scale are D flat 7 that resolves to C, E flat 7 that resolves to D, F sharp 7 that resolves to F, A flat 7 that resolves to G, and B flat 7 that resolves to A. Now that we know all the 12 dominant chords and their function, let's see them one by one. The 1-7. The 1-7 is a tonic of the blues and works along with the 4-7. From C7 to F7 to C7 to F7 and back to C. But the 1-7 is also the dominant relative of the 4th degree. It resolves to F. And as a passing chord, it creates great continuity from C major 7 to C7 to F. Let's hear it in a musical sentence. The flat 2-7, which is the dominant substitute of the 5-7, in this case, D flat 7. D flat 7 is a dominant substitute of G7, so it can be used as a stepping stone to C. G7, D flat 7, C major 7. But it can also be used more directly. From C major 7 straight to D flat 7. Half steps. Let's hear it within a musical sentence. This is from Lush Life. Passing substitute chord to 1. Again, passing substitute to F. We're gonna see this one. The 2-7 is a dominant relative of the 5th degree. The D7 leads to G7. The then it can be used as a stepping stone to get to G7. Passing chord to G, passing chord to C. The 2/7 can be interchanged with the relative minor 2 minor 7, like in Girl from Ipanema, from C major 7 to the 2/7 dominant relative to the 2 minor 7, substitute of G, back to C, playing with the flat 2/7. The flat 3/7 is the dominant substitute of A7, which is the dominant relative that leads to D minor. We can use both dominant substitutes and we get a nice chromatic turnaround. We start on C, then passing chord to D minor, and the passing chord back to C. Gershwin uses these passing chords on a foggy day. Substitute to D minor, substitute to C major. The 3/7 is a dominant relative of the 6th degree. E7 leads to A minor. So we can use it as a passing chord going from E minor to A minor. Or we can skip the E minor altogether and go straight forward from C, passing from E7 to A minor. Now we can go to D minor, and then passing through D7 to G, and then passing through D flat 7 back to C. The flat 5/7 is a dominant substitute of C7 that leads to F, G flat 7 to F major 7. Let me use it in a musical sentence so you can hear what it sounds like. We start on C, passing chord C7, passing chord G flat 7 down to F major 7. The flat 6/7 is a dominant substitute to D7, which is a relative of G7. So we can use it as a passing chord going from D7 to G7 and back to C. This chord is actually great to use at the end of a musical sentence. Let's play it, see how it sounds like. C major 7, D7 as a passing chord to A minor, D minor, D7 again, but now to the substitute down to G and back to C. Let's do it again, but now using the 6 flat 7 on the weak part of the measure. C major, passing dominant to A minor, D minor, passing dominant to G, flat 6/7 passing back to G, and passing dominant back to C. The 6/7 is the dominant relative of the second minor, D minor, so we can use it as a passing chord from A minor to D minor. A minor, A7, D minor. Let me give you the Disney version of the 6/7. Or the Bee Gees version of the 6/7. C major to E minor to A minor, A7 passing dominant to D minor, D7 passing dominant to G7, D flat 7 passing dominant to C. The flat 7/7 is a minor subdominant, but it can also be used as the dominant substitute of the 6, in this case E7, that resolves to the 6, A minor. For example, we can go from B flat 7 to C7 and back. B flat 7, C7, B flat 7, C7. Just like Killer Joe. C7, B flat 7, C7, B flat 7, C7, B flat 7, C7, B flat 7, and so on. But we can also use it as a passing chord to A minor. C major, dominant passing chord, A minor. The 7/7 is a dominant relative of the third, E minor. It would be from B7 to E minor. So we can go from C to B7 passing to E minor, D major, G7, and D flat 7 passing to C. Thank you, I hope this information was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and visit our blog at InsidePiano.com.